Welcome everyone to the GTM Summit. We're here in Austin, and you see that we're in this beautiful creator setup, and it's provided by Influ2. And I'm really excited to dive into why exactly Influ2 is doing what they're doing. I'm excited about it because a lot of things that we're working on here at AMP. But first and foremost, John, introduce yourself. You were telling me about your hockey days. Could you actually just tell us your favorite hockey story? Let's start there.
My name's Joe McNeill, CRO at Influ2. My favorite hockey story. I don't know. I actually, my favorite hockey stories are around my kids now.
Okay.
My son's into hockey, and so he always comes and he's like, "Dad, how did I do today?" And it's like, "Do you have fun?" It's like, "Yeah." It's like, "Hey, you did good then."
That's it.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. So let's dive into the first component here, which is outbound is evolving. What exactly does that mean to you, Joe? And exactly like what should we be paying attention to?
Yeah. So I think, way back in my day
Yeah.
when I was really driving a ton of outbound strategy, like outbound was really about you differentiated yourself by personalizing your content, right?
Yeah.
Like personalized emails, cold calls, tying the voicemails. For better or worse now with AI, like personalization is available at scale. You can automate personalization.
Yeah.
So like what I see is like the new differentiator now is humanization, right? Like
Mm.
how do you show that you are a human and you can provide the person you're reaching out to value in a conversation? Instead of, I think sometimes we try to take with our
Yeah.
prospecting. It's like, how do you reach out and engage in a way where it's like, hey, I want to talk to this person because I can learn something from them, not just learn about their product.
Now that sounds like something that everyone should be doing, but they're not. So what do you think is the reason that most people don't take that human-based approach?
It's hard. It's really hard. Like I think, the market is tough right now. And there's two ways you can look at it. You can look at it like, oh, you used to be able to really like automate a lot and get a lot. And now you need to know a lot to be able to provide value.
Yeah.
But for me, like there's an opportunity there for executors, right? Like for the people that can really drive that execution and drive that strategy, like there's a window there. Not very many people are doing it. And it's just tough to scale because you need to really focus on training and enabling your people in a meaningful way.
Yeah.
But you also really need to hone in and be focused on who are my buyers instead of sort of carpet bombing the industry and waiting for people to raise their hands.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
That's not the move. That's not the move. So I want to unpack something because you said, I feel like a lot of people, they try to figure out how can I personalize that scale? And the word there comes in there, which is scale. Do you feel like thinking about the word scale actually ruins the human touch and it actually deters buyers away from looking to meet with you?
Yeah. I think right now you see a lot of folks trying to almost build an inbound engine via outbound.
Yeah.
Like with AI agents and automating all these
AI
things.
is rampant.
And I think like there's two ways you can use AI. You can use it to try to automate or you can use it to empower the people.
Yeah.
And really like it was hard before to engage with buyers and provide value because you had to do a lot of research.
Right.
Well, like AI is a huge opportunity for providing a lot of research in a short amount of time. So you can learn a lot about your buyers. So I think if you leverage it more on the side of like, let's use AI to identify like our very sweet spot audience, and let's do a lot of research into how we can provide value for that audience.
And doing a lot of research and looking at what y'all are doing, it sounds like the main thing you're focused on is allbound. Now, I think we have a lot of inbound, outbound. I don't know. Sometimes there's like, what has even happened with bound, right? So could you explain a little bit more? What is allbound and how does that play into bringing value to the right people and having the right message?
Yes. So the idea of allbound's been around for a while. It's nothing like revolutionary and new. But I think if you zoom in, if you think about an outbound sequence, right? You have your emails, your LinkedIn, your voice memos. And really the power of a sequence is the sum of all of its parts.
Right.
It's not any one individual piece. And it's like the more elements that you bring to that sequence, the more powerful it becomes. Well, I think outbound is the same idea. It's just looking at it at the commercial level. It's like it's your marketing team, it's your partner team, it's your outbound team. And it's like, how can we bring synergy amongst all of those teams to really drive forward our pipeline strategy? And I think, a lot of times companies, they measure what they can, not what they should.
Yeah.
And so
big dashboards.
and that's really what's driven these inbound strategies and these partner strategies. They become so singular focused, and it just doesn't work. I think everybody talks about what's dead now. I think just single channel pipeline strategy is dead.
Yeah.
I think you need to have synergy amongst your team.
Careful when you say something's dead. People come after you. So you gotta be careful. We gotta be careful with that one. So, but to a degree, I do believe you. I think everything needs to be multi-purpose. You can't just rely on one thing. Maybe back in the day you could, but you can't. And when you think about all these different functions, it's really about how do you make sure that revenue is a team sport, is essentially what you're saying there. So from your perspective as being the CRO, you obviously have multiple functions that you deal with. How are you making sure that there's alignment across those teams? And which teams should you start with first to be like, okay, we need the foundation here, and then we go here, or is it different for each org?
I think it's a little different for each org, but a lot of times it's the fundamental stuff.
Yeah.
Like, how does marketing define what it means to win?
Mhm.
How does sales define what it means to win? How do
Yeah.
how do your commercial teams define what it means to win? That's like the building block of everything. Because
Yeah.
you just can't get into a situation where at QBRs, one of the teams is doing great, the other one is not. Like, you win
Yeah.
together, you lose together. And then on top of that, like, who's the target audience? What is the messaging? You'd be surprised at how many organizations marketing is focused on a different audience than sales,
Yeah.
and the messaging isn't aligned.
Completely off.
Because they have their inbound focus and they're optimizing in one direction.
Yeah.
Sales has their outbound focus and they're optimizing in a completely different direction. And that's how you get this weird lack of alignment.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And then there creates metrics that they're tied to that are completely different. It creates all these different disputes, and then now you're in a terrible place, right? And that's not what you want. So I want to get very tactical here, though, because you've talked about all these different outbound functions. Is there an outbound function that people you feel like are not leveraging as much that they should focus more on?
Yeah, I think it's really focusing on the buyers and being very specific and intentional about outreach. Because people buy, not companies.
Yeah.
And so you see these concepts of account-based marketing strategies, and really a lot of companies, what account-based marketing is they just take their old marketing strategy and they squeeze it into an ABM motion focused on these accounts.
They just call IBM. It's like,
Yeah,
hey, it's gonna work. It's like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, but it's really and part of it is it can be scary because right now pipeline's tough to generate.
Yeah.
And going to your board and saying hey, the new strategy is we're going to be more focused.
Yeah.
Which means we're going to do less output.
Yeah.
But that's really what it takes, because you have to map who are our target buyers. What matters to these individuals, not accounts, individuals. And then how do we engage with those individuals in a meaningful way?
Yeah. And walk me through that as a senior leader. You're going to the board, you're talking to your team. I feel like the main thing is, hey, we just need to get more pipeline. We need 6x coverage just so that we can close those deals. But we all know all pipeline isn't good pipeline.
Yeah.
Because then you look at it being like, what is even in here? Right?
Yeah.
So how are you making sure you're having that conversation with the board? You said find the right buyers. What's that process like? Is it going through the CRM? Is it having roundtables? What are you doing there?
It's having a very deliberate ICP.
Yeah.
Right? These are the accounts that we're going to get pipeline from, and
Yep.
then having a very intentional buyer persona map.
Yeah.
And it's these individuals within these accounts are the folks that are going to make it to the pipeline, and then here's how we're going to attack it. So I think from that standpoint, it's just being very prescriptive about what does it mean to generate pipeline. It's not, hey, we sell to B2B companies, let's get B2B companies in the pipeline.
That's probably not it.
Right.
Yeah.
So if we're aligned in our messaging, if we have our buyers mapped, and if we have our ICP very tightly defined, then anything that comes from that is going to be quality, as long as it's right expectations, and that's where the messaging comes in.
And speaking of expectations, as we wrap up here, you're obviously a buyer yourself, and you're getting hit up on LinkedIn, email, calls, WhatsApp. I don't know what. This is probably a lot at this point. So, what have you seen that stands out to you, and what would be your number one thing that you would tell go-to-market teams to stop doing that you're seeing a lot of?
Yeah. So I used to reach out or respond to all SDRs.
Okay.
I had a ton of SDRs.
You're a legend.
I'd love. Well,
They should put you in the Hall of Fame.
Used to is the key, right? And I had a ton of SDRs. I love SDRs.
Yeah.
And it's I felt like it was my way of giving back. But now there's so much, and most of it's not coming from an SDR.
Yeah.
It's just automation, right? So people think of hey, what email template should I make to convert? It's well, I don't read 90% of them.
Yeah.
Because you can just tell right away. It never heard of this person, never seen this person, totally generic messaging. So for me, it's be human. If someone's hitting me up on LinkedIn, with voice memos, leaving me voicemails, and then I see them popping up into my email inbox and they're referencing that they're reaching out, and the messaging, I can tell that they've put time and they've talked to folks like me in my market. I'll give them the time of day.
Yeah.
Those are the folks. And honestly, you probably get 1 million emails a day. I get 4 of those a month right now.
Yeah.
It's very rare. You just don't see it very often anymore. So it sounds simple, but there's not a lot of it out there right now.
That's interesting, because I've talked to a lot of executives and they're saying they're not getting as many emails. They're getting more LinkedIn messages that are automated, and they get next to no calls.
Yeah, that's it.
Super. I think a lot of people are afraid of talking to another human
Yeah.
in general. So they're like, yeah, I don't even want to do that.
Well, I just think in today's world where pipeline's tough to come by, like a lot of companies' answers is more like,
Yeah.
it's like, hey, we just got to reach out to more folks.
Yeah.
And then, so the strategy becomes a mile wide and inch deep, and like, unfortunately you have to get away from that at some point.
Yep, you do. Otherwise, like, you're going to be in a bad spot. And then the market will respond and be like, well, we've heard of you and now we don't want to work with you because the messaging was off or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
100%. So if you all want to learn more about what Influ2 is doing, go check out influ2.com. But the thing is, we talk about allbound, but you'll have a new term that you're also coining and trying to create as well. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So we do name buyer ads, and really like how we support our customers. And what I'm talking about is this area of focus is we target named individuals with ads. So we sync with our customers' CRM, we build out campaigns, and then you target the individuals with unique messaging, stage relevant messaging, depending on where they are at in their journey with you. And then we push that engagement back to the contact record in Salesforce or HubSpot. And it just allows sales to see how warm a contact is, see what they're engaging with, so they can reach out to them at a human level. And then it helps marketing. They can look at what are the conversion rates of the folks that we're creating engagement with these ads versus those that we're not targeting. So it's really supporting that idea of focus.
It sounds like magic. I don't know.
It is magic.
It sounds like magic, Joe. I don't know. But here's the thing: is that one of the critical things that you just said that I hope everyone understands is that it's about not only marketing, providing the right air cover for sales to convert. It's also from the sales perspective to target the right people and the right conversations that leads to more quality pipeline. Customer success is happy. Everyone's happy across the team. And that's what you're talking about, right? It's allbound. It's not just, hey, we're just going to reach out to 1,000 people. It's marketing's doing their job with the right named ads that you have. Sales is coming in, making sure they convert the right opportunities, and the whole team is good. So as we wrap up here, any lasting things that you want to say before we wrap up?
I would just say like buying behavior has changed.
Yeah.
B2B buyers have changed. There's so many people involved in it. And the best way to engage with them is to provide value.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's it.
Provide value, y'all.